If you want to grow cannabis, space buckets are your path to success, and Mostly Safe Micro Grow makes that path even easier. Head over to mostlysafe8.com for artisan space buckets and how-to guides, or check them out on Etsy. Mostly Safe Micro Grow. Grow your own. Yo, what's going down, everybody? You know who this is, man. It's your boy, Big Druski, and this is another edition of Space Bucket Growing with Druski, the Tinkerbell Revenge Grow Diaries. So, we're sitting here in the garden today, and it's that time. We have officially flipped to flower. So you know what that means. We switched the timer up from 18.6 to 12.12, and we got things nice and rolling right now. So, you know, we know what to expect. There's going to be some stretching that's going to go on. There's going to be more watering because of my watering schedule and how I water with a half gallon every couple of days. You know what I'm saying? Like today's newt feed day for the flower, so we're going to go early flower mix from the Nectar for the Gods sample pack. If you got yours, mix that up. You know what I'm saying? If you haven't already, if you following the grow, if you going along with what we doing over here, you know what I'm saying? But we mix that up, like we said, full mix, half gallon of water. I still haven't had any nutrient problems, and I think that's because of how the clone is working. From what I'm understanding, from what I get from this, the clone has extra flower hormone in it, thus more flower sites on the clone. Understandable. There's less silica, from what I understand. This is giving the plant its frailness and it's kind of like its softness. It's still not hardened. It's still easy to manipulate. I kind of wanted it to be a little bit more difficult, but hey. So now we're going early flower mix, and that is going to consist of, let me pull that up here for you guys. Alright, so we're going to be mixing early flower. 2 teaspoons of Medusa's Magic, 2 teaspoons of Gaia Mania, 1 tablespoon of Athena's Amnias, 2 teaspoons of Demeter's Destiny. Like I said, we go full mix. 1 tablespoon of Herculean Harvest, 2 teaspoons of Zeus Juice, and 1 teaspoon of Bloom Chaos in the half gallon as well. Remember the pH, your levels. Make sure everything's nice and right. This is an organic mix that we are using with the Nectar for the Gods pack. So you're going to want to use your Olympus up. Or if your pH is too high, you're going to use Hades down or pH down. So for me, like I said, half gallon of water, full newt mix, dump her right on in. And let it go. And then in a couple of days, we'll go water. A couple of more days from that, we'll go water. A couple of more days from that, we will continue with the early flower phase of the nutrient feed. Now, we're going to do this for the first month. Month 2 is mid-flower. Pretty much the same regimen, except for the Herculean Harvest. You're going to up to 2 tablespoons instead of 1. 1 tablespoon of Bloom Chaos per gallon, like I'm going to do per half gallon. Pretty much the same for late, except for you wean down on a few things in late flower. From what I noticed, so you're going to go 1 teaspoon, 2 teaspoons, 1 table, 2 teaspoons, 1 table, 1 tea, 1 table. And then when you're flushing, knock all of that mess out, and you go with the Herculean Harvest, which is the liquid bone meal, and you flush it out for your last couple of weeks. Now, I wanted to do some splitting. Problem: the cola is thin, so I don't want to bust this thing way out. So I might have to like toothpick it. It's going to be a weird one when it comes to splitting on this one, but I do want to try that method. Other than that, we're having a pretty successful grow. Being the second run of Tinkerbells Revenge from a clone, there are some noticeable differences. And I've noticed when manipulating your plant to maximize light, it is best to know your defoliation points and know and have all your tools ready. Not know whether or not you're going to use a screen of green setting, because you might not. You might just use some low stress training and topping, and that's all you need. You won't need a scrub. I decided to use one in this case because of everything coming in from the lower half of the plant, shooting up and creating a massive foliage. I wanted to get some separation, know where my bud sites are going to happen, and it is very apparent everything on the outside, just like on the first run of Tinkerbell's Revenge, the outside buds were the ones reaching for the sky. They're trying to get to that light. They're absorbing all that light, getting all that energy. Apparently, also, they're the outside, the perimeter portion of the plant seems to be gravitating towards the light ring and taking advantage of that as well. So you're going to notice that, because you're going to notice that the center, if you haven't defoliated very well, and that's something I got to get into, is defoliation. I'm kind of a natural guy. I like to see the plant's response. I want to see if the leaves are going to tell me anything. And so I'm so afraid of taking excess foliage off of the plant that I don't. And so it leaves me with this kind of low-hanging center with the perimeter of the plant growing at a massive rate. I don't mind it, but it is something that I have to learn how to manipulate and control with defoliation. Not taking excess foliage off, and if I do, I just got to read that plant a little bit better. Something that, all growers have to get into at some point to maximize your yield. And if you don't, you don't. If you do, you do. Me, like I said, I've kept mine pretty much all natural on both of these runs that have been more on the successful rate. Even on my other previous runs, I didn't defoliate too much, just because I know leaves have a lot to do. The fan leaves have a lot to do with, light absorption rate, feeding that to the plants, telling you, the grower, the cultivator, things that are going wrong. They're your visual signs. You have your leaves that are going to curl in or under. They're going to droop when they're underwatered. You're going to have your speckles, mites, and anything that's a problem is going to start on your leaves first. So I like to keep them, but it does create problems in your grow later on. So, you guys, if you are space bucket growing and taking advantage of a micro grow situation, I do recommend to take advantage of defoliation. My thing is running a clone of this nature. It's hard to tell where to defoliate. And so I'm waiting until buds start to form, and then I can clean her up really, really, really good. Get a lot of that foliage out of there. Let her heal up and let that flowering process reinstate itself. So that's something that's been going on in the Space Bucket world over here. In the world of Space Bucket growing with Druski. This was a quick, nice little update for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe if you're listening to this and watching the screen on YouTube. Thanks for keeping your screen on. If you're listening to this via the link in the Instagram bio, thank you. Like this episode and subscribe. If you're listening to this via any of the other platforms that this podcast is on, iHeartRadio, Google Play Music, Stitcher Podcast, thank you. Like and subscribe. Make sure you do that. We need all the numbers that we can to show that we have a united cannabis community that has a little bit of interest in micro growing. So check out our Instagram at Elevated Media LLC. That's the Elevated Lifestyle LV brand page there. Make sure you follow us on Instagram as well. And any of the other social media platforms that we're on. We are on Tumblr. We are on Facebook. Join us on our Facebook forum, Space Bucket Micro Grows. Check us out. I am an admin. I will add you. Let's have some fun, man. Spread some knowledge. You know what I mean? Google Plus. We have the Elevated Lifestyle Podcast group on there. If you are heavy on Google Plus, go ahead and add us over there as well. And make sure you're looking out for our other podcast, the Druski and Stack Show, Sundays, live at 3 p.m. We do a live episode of the Druski and Stacks podcast. That's a culture and cannabis podcast. Friday night, see us out there, Las Vegas, culture and cannabis, first Friday. Make sure you are listening, and if you are listening to this, the day it drops, we will be out there on first Friday, culture and cannabis. We might be meeting up with a few people, so make sure you come out, spread some love, you know what I'm saying? Add us on Instagram while you're out there. Take some pictures. Excuse me. Let's have some fun. Folks, this is your boy Druski, and I am out. Space buckets are the easiest intro into cannabis. At Mostly Safe Microgrow, the artisan space buckets make it even easier. Each space bucket comes equipped with Roladero UFO LEDs, reflective lining, 220 CFM intake and exhaust fans, plus power array. A complete grow tent and a 12-inch footprint with an average yield of 2 ounces or more. Head to MostlySafe8.com for their artisan space buckets and how-to guides, or check them out on Etsy. Mostly Safe Microgrow, 2 ounces plus.
It's good. Niggas talking cash shit. Instagram and Snapchatting guns, you ain't gon' up it. Niggas know my name, I don't need no introduction. You do this shit for cameras and I do this shit in public. You niggas better up it. Niggas better up it. Cause when you see me out in traffic, nigga, I'ma up it. Yeah, nigga ain't bout tough. It's about shut your pussy ass mouth up. Soft niggas on wax, got a glass jaw. No hands, but the nigga talk his ass off. Pussy nigga, you ain't ready for a standoff. Cheddar bar, fuck around, blow your hand off. Watch your mouth a little bit before you get fucked. When a nigga get hype for you, bitch ain't got jewels or a car, son. Ain't gotta reach for the stars when you are one. Niggas swear they kill shit, then they boil out. Loose lips talk shit till they call it out. I see you with them little guns in the video, but I don't never see you slide to the city, ho. You in the studio, niggas wanna pump fake. I put a 30-round dick in your fuck face. Oh, he must have forgot where I came from. I got King Kong nuts you can hang from. I play stupid motherfucker, but I ain't dumb. I play broke, but a motherfucker banked up. Yeah, they had my face on the news, running from red in the blues. Yeah, when me and my niggas step in, all of the bitches gon' chew. Niggas talking cash shit. Instagram and Snapchat and guns, you ain't gon' up it. Niggas know my name, I don't need no introduction. You do this shit for cameras and I do this shit in public. You niggas better up it. Niggas better up it. Cause when you see me out in traffic, nigga, I'ma up it. Niggas better up it. Niggas better up it. Cause when you see me out in traffic, nigga, I'ma up it.
Hey, all these other niggas just bluffing. Talking money, but they never gon' up it. Man, these pussy ass niggas disgusting. Can't compare to Millie, he is no puppet. Fuck it, I'm the topic of a discussion. And I never need no introduction. Cause I'm curry with a 30 in public. Shoot a birdie in a hurry, I'm clutching. Hey, why would they play like we straight? Be smiling all off in my face. When I turn around, man, they hate. I start to think niggas is gay. Pussy, you running astray. My best advice is stay away. Make me send them right where you lay and meet your mama at your wake. I hope that these niggas ain't sleeping on me cause Millie wide awake. Just make sure you count all your blessings cause nigga you could die today. Feasting when I be eating cause it's steak and lobster on my plate. Why you talk like you got that chicken, nigga, whip it right out in my face. I wait.
Niggas talking cash shit. Instagram and Snapchat and guns, you ain't gon' up it. Niggas know my name, I don't need no introduction. You do this shit for cameras and I do this shit in public. You niggas better up it. Niggas better up it. Cause when you see me out in traffic, nigga, I'ma up it. Niggas better up it. Niggas better up it. Cause when you see me out in traffic, nigga, I'ma up it.
I'm sick of these niggas, man. Fat hoes acting like they the shit. Instagram models selling pussy on Backpage.
High roller mafia.